Chapter 4: The Cost of Observation. Eric had learned in the months since he arrived at the farm that nothing, no matter how small or how large it may seem to be, happens by pure accident. Everything is calculated and handled by someone somewhere, with some kind of motive. So, when the pager lying on the dresser next to his bunk vibrated at 2:17 on the morning of what was supposed to be his graduation, he was already awake, waiting to act. He did not need the vibration of the pager to wake him. The training he received had trained him to move before the world demanded it. His eyes flicked to the dim glow of the numbers and meeting location, his body coiled and tense, every muscle ready. He dressed in silence, pulling on the civilian clothes that still feel as a disguise hiding him from something. There was no insignia, no rank, no name. No true meaning behind these clothes. By the time he stepped into the hallway, two other men from his training class caught his glance as they stood in the dark hallway, lighted by emergency lights, with their faces hidden by the dim light. None of them spoke as they made their way outside, where a black SUV sat waiting. In the front passenger seat sat Lang, a man Eric had just come to learn the name of, and did not know if he could trust yet. "This will be a in-the-field operation," Lang said without turning around. "You will observe, and that is all. As you know, we are technically not allowed to operate on U.S. soil, so this needs to be quiet." The drive made no sense. The driver turned at abnormal times as if trying to throw off where they were heading, but the skyline that appeared off in the distance made no mistake that the three candidates knew where they were going. Washington, D.C. skyline rose in the distance. A scattering of lights shone against the dark river as they crossed the bridge into downtown. The driver of the black SUV pulled into an alley next to a waterfront hotel that seemed fancy and elegant, similar to what Eric had seen in the French Quarter Inn when he decided to join the CIA. Once stopped, Lang handed each one of them a folder and an earpiece. Inside the folder was one piece of paper with the identification of the target. Target: Dr. Aref Bahrami. Cover: Visiting Professor. Reality: Senior Nuclear Systems Engineers for an Iranian nuclear reactor, Design Bureau that is believed to be working with Russian authorities. Lang then instructed their assignment. He expressed his simplicity, something that caught Eric off guard. Why such few details on such an easy assignment, he wondered in his head. Could there be more to this Iran and Russian situation? Dr. Bahrami is believed to be a defector looking to seek asylum here in America, Lang spoke in a hushed tone. You are to observe only and not contact. Eric, you will go inside and follow the target. You two wait inside the lobby in case you are needed. From the moment he entered the lobby, Eric knew something felt different. He noticed Bahrami and began to observe. The target stood near the far column, posture relaxed, hands loosely folded behind his back. There was no tension, no caution, no sign that this man was out of place. Then something strange had happened. Dr. Bahrami darted his eyes throughout the lobby and landed in Eric's direction, and eyed him in a way that could only point to the fact that he knew Eric, or someone like him, was going to be here. Dr. Bahrami then grew shaky hands and darting eyes as he made his way toward the elevator. His posture had changed as he approached the elevator, as if he knew that someone was coming for him, or someone could be following him. He rode the elevator to the 9th floor as Eric watched the monitor to see where he would be going. Eric took the stairs up to the 9th floor after, and waited some time not to seem suspicious, even though he already thought he had been compromised. Should I call this in? Did he see me and know who I was? Eric thought in his mind, brushing it off as a coincidence. Once sufficient time had passed, Eric stepped out into the hallway, and Bahrami stood there waiting for him as if he had not made an attempt to go anywhere after he stepped off the elevator. They locked eyes, and then Bahrami stood frozen, scared, staring him up and down. There was a moment of silence between the two men on the 9th floor. The weight of the situation felt heavy, electric, the kind of environment that makes the air feel thinner. Then, Bahrami turned and sprinted in the opposite direction. He moved with the kind of precision that told Aref this man was fleeing out of panic. Bahrami shoved past a hotel maid, knocking her cart over in the process, trying to block the hallway, and continued to sprint towards the other staircase on the opposite side of the hotel. Aref followed the boots pounding on the carpeted hallway floor. "Control, I am made. Target is fleeing," Aref said into his microphone. There was a pause as Lang was calculating what to do next. "Follow the target, find out where he is going, who he is meeting with," Lang replied. "Who he is meeting with. He is supposed to be defecting meeting with someone from our country who is supposed to help. What is going on this operation?" Aref thought. Bahrami made his way to the lobby and began to shout, "I need police. Help, I am being chased." Aref thought that this was just an exercise, something that he failed, just one more test before he was set to graduate and leave the farm. Unaware of what was going on, he felt ashamed. He had never failed at anything before. What was he to do differently next time began coursing through his mind until he was interrupted by a communication through his earpiece. "Bahrami is not to leave this hotel alive," Lang shouted. Aref then understood in a single, terrible instant what these words really meant. There would be no arrest report, no extradition, no trial, nothing. He was now in this hotel to kill this man, something he had never done before, only simulated in training. Bahrami locked eyes with Aref once again, and before anyone in the lobby could move, he took off again towards the back of the hotel. Aref followed in pursuit, shooting police freeze to throw off patrons who would be watching the commotion occurring, forcing them to not get involved and out of his way. Aref cornered Bahrami in the back cargo receiving area of the hotel, forcing him into a corner with no way out. Bahrami, feeling his back against the wall, began to plead with the man in front of him. "Please," he begged. "My family." Aref stepped in close enough to smell the cheap cologne covering the smell of sweat on this man, that he was sent to only observe. Then a switch flicked inside of Aref's body. A quick, precise blow from Aref's hand landed on this doctor's neck. The blow snapped an artery and forced the man to slide slowly to the floor with eyes open, staring back at Aref. By the time hotel security or the other candidates reached the cargo area in the back of the hotel, Dr. Bahrami was already dead, what would be called a heart attack from a deranged lunatic who was disturbing patrons of the hotel. A news story that would be covered by just another line in police paperwork is lost by the system. And Aref would be gone. Aref and the others quickly fled the hotel and entered the SUV that was still in the alleyway, and the other two began congratulating Aref on a job well done. Aref sat there scared. He was scared because his heart was not racing, his hands were not shaking, and his breath was normal. He just easily took the life of a man he knew nothing about, and yet here he was, calm as if nothing had happened. This hung over him. What was he turning into? What was that switch feeling inside him before he took that man's life? Lang looked back and said, "You did good. You prevented a catastrophic breach of nuclear security tonight." Aref finally looked up at his surroundings, but was still not speaking a word about what had just occurred. Lang continued, "Without you, Russia would have taken him, and God only knows what they would do with him, but know this. This will prevent them from achieving their goals, whatever they may be." In that moment, Aref understood the truth about what he was becoming. He was not being trained to observe and report or to save the world. He was being trained to erase it one person at a time.